Okay, I think we should start before we waste any more time. Hello, everyone. So, welcome to MacX Build a Discord bot. So, before we start today's event, I wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are gathered today. My name is Saikumar Krishnan. I'm going to be teaching you how to create a Discord bot. And I'm an events officer at Monash Association Coding. This is what we are. And thank you so much for coming today. So we're a coding club that focuses on technical skills and industry relevant experience for students. Our primary goal is to create a good programming culture at Monash where we can provide collaborative settings for students to work on projects together. So like the one we're doing right now, and learn from each other. So part of this is a technical workshop or a career workshop. Technical workshop is like the one I'm running right now. So make sure you check us out on social media whenever you have time. So if anyone wants to share that in the chat. So without any further delay, let's get into it. So I'd assume most people here know what Discord is. It's a chatting platform and it's one that's pretty game oriented. So it's good for setting up video game servers and like communicating. One of the really easy aspects that I find pleasant about Discord is it's really easy to set up a bot. So Discord bots are things that you can run on servers and they will react to whatever a person does. So that can be commands, that can be various text phrases, or it could play music. You can do a wide variety of things. So let's just get into how you'd start the bot. So I'm going to assume most people here, if not all, have a Discord account. So one thing you want to do is go to the Discord developer tab. So that's this link here, and it'll bring you to this. Now, I already have 3 apps created, but just in case you're not familiar with how to do it, you press new app, and you give it a name. So I'll just call this Mac test. Okay, has no profile picture, we can ignore that for now. Has no description, we don't need to worry about it. A bit after that is we want to get a token for it. So you go over to the bot tab and you want to click add a bot. So this will give it a bot token. We'll give it a Discord ID. With this, you get a unique token which is used to effectively identify your bot. Now, I'm not going to press copy or regenerate, but this is a string that you'll have to either regenerate often because if you're testing with it, you may have to reset it. So I'll just copy it, but I won't do anything with it. Now, after that, if you want to invite your bot, you need to do the following. You want to go over to OAuth 2. So this is just the authorization system. And I want to click bot here. So we're going to clicking on the bot scope. They'll generate this ID. Now, the bit here that says bot permissions, which I'll talk about briefly at the end, is just what your bot has to have, like what permissions it has to have. But now I'll just tick it to 1, and you see it gets me this link here. Okay, so if I copy this link, and I open a new tab, and I run this, what it'll do, it will get me this connection screen, and I want to click add to a server, and I'll put it onto my test server that I created for this. So in case you haven't got a server that you can work with, you can just go down to the bottom and click add a new server. For now, I'll just assume you have something that you can test with. Press continue, it'll just ask for the permissions. And there we go, the authorization. But now if I show my Discord tab, we have our bot here. It doesn't really do anything at this point, and it's also offline, so not going to do much at the moment. But let's get into how we can get functionality into this thing. Okay, next part of this is that I want a Discord library for Python. Python is really the simplest library out there. There is one for JavaScript, but I really don't recommend using it. Python is much better for this sort of thing. So in case you haven't installed it, just run the following: pip install discord.py. Now, in my case, it's already installed. However, for some people, if it says like pip is not recognized, you may have to do python pip install Discord, or you can do discord.py. It'll just say it's installed again. Okay, now I have this folder here and an empty file called bot.py. So let's start by coding up our bot. Okay, so first thing is we're going to be importing the Discord library. We just installed it. And now we're going to do something called discord.extensions. So ext is short for extensions, .commands, and we're going to import our bot. So this bot is basically what it's self-explanatory. It's just a bot with base class, and it doesn't really do much. We want to put functionality into it. And I want to import cog. We'll talk about the cog stuff later, but now let's just focus on getting our bot to work. Okay, so before I go into anything else, there's a few things that when I did this myself, like the first time I was building a Discord bot, one thing that confused me was decorators. And what they are is it's a special property. So if you have a function def, just something, and this does some code. Okay, in Python, you can have a decorator. So it's represented with an @ symbol, and you can say decorator events, and that does something. What it does is it takes in your function and it slots it into some point of that decorator code. So it takes the decorator event itself is one function, and it takes in another function and runs that during the decorator function. So this is very useful because it makes sense of a lot of what's going on. Okay, bot.event. So the common decorators you'll be using for Discord.py include bot.events. So these are events that Discord will send to your bot. So if someone's joined the server, it will say on member join or something. I don't remember the exact name, but if someone joins, it will send a signal to your bot. If someone leaves the server, if someone sends a message, a message is called onMessage, and all sorts of things. So there's a wide variety of events for what you can account for. As for commands, well, this is pretty much where we build bots. So if you want to send a specialized command, that is, you want a specific thing to happen, and your bot has like certain functionality for that, it will take in any argument. So maybe if in Discord I do, so this is in Discord, if I was to do bots, so exclamation mark is what you call your prefix, and bot, say play song, what it does is it recognizes this is your command name, and these two things are arguments. So it helps distinguish that you're dealing with the command. Now, this stuff here, the commands.cog.listener, is effectively what's going on here, but there's a bit of technicality around it, so we'll get to that. Okay. Now, the other bit, probably getting a bit theoretical, is that we're going to be working with await and async. So this is crucial. What's going on is that when you have a Discord bot, typically you'll have multiple users trying to get a command from it, or multiple servers trying to call a command. The problem is in traditional programming, one thing goes at a time. So if you send a command to it, it will have to process that entire thing. And sometimes if it has to wait for something, like wait for a user to return some input, say like how many, like what song they want to play or something, it has to wait for them. And everyone else who's asking for a command to be evaluated gets stuck. The sync keyword tells us, okay, you can pretty much ignore the full execution of that person's instruction and go on to the next person's instruction. So don't just focus on one person's instruction. Make sure you address everyone you can. So that's why you add this async def. And in addition to it, the await bit just tells us, well, you can do this and go do something else while you're at it. Okay, so theory overload aside, let's get into a basic thing we can do. Okay. So this is just the explanation for why you really want to sync and await. So let's get into what I've got here. Okay. Clients. So that's just the name of our bot instance. And we're calling a bot with the command prefix of exclamation mark. So if you want to signal to the bot that you're sending a command, then you'd use exclamation mark. If you want to change it to something else, you could change it to something like this, or maybe like this. It's up to you, really. I just keep it to exclamation mark, but keep in mind some bots will conflict with that. Okay, client.event. So what we're doing is that the bot class has a load of events. It has this event function, and any event that gets signaled by it, what we want to do is we want to write onReady. Okay. So the onReady method, after our bot connects to the server, do this first. So it's kind of like after you boot up, then go into doing these things first. Okay. No. Don't know why my VS Code's doing that, but let's just ignore it. Print. Now, I do this because I want to just see if it's logged in. So it's not really too practical, doesn't do much, but it's good to have. So I say logged in as client.username. And if you come back to here, that's just going to be the info from your bot. So just this stuff and your token. Not your token, your user ID. Clients.user.id. Okay. Now, the last bit here is called a change precedence. So in Discord, you may see that you can be on Do Not Disturb, idle, or online. We're just going to set the bot's presence to be online. You can change it to actually be custom stuff. So you can say playing with fire or something like that. So that's also an option for this function. Discord.status.online. Okay. Ignoring that. Sync, can't spell. There we go. That fixes it. I can't. Got to learn how to spell. And finally, the client.run. And now here's where we use our token. So my token's still copied. Oh, no, it's not copied. I need to go back. I click on copy here. And now I just push that into my code. And I hit run. Okay. Is onReady the abstraction implementation of an abstract? That's actually a good point. It is pretty much the implementation for the abstract class bot. So I think this is abstract because there are some implemented methods, but nice. Now it decides to fail on me. Oh, no. Okay, I'm just going to run this from the command line. So cd Python. Okay, now it's running. For some reason, my VS Code is doing a stupid thing. I'm just going to run it from command line, so that shouldn't be too much of a concern. It's going to be logged in now, and if I come back to my bot here, so I come to my Discord screen, you can see it's online. Okay, well, it doesn't do anything, and that's not really too concerning. We can get to that. But for now, we need to address a few things. Firstly, we don't have a way of killing this thing. So even if I was to stop running it, so I can press Control-C to stop running it. That's a command line thing. It'll just say event loop closed, just saying, yeah, I stopped it. But the thing is, if I come back to my Discord screen, the bot is still online. And why this is an issue is that if you're working with actual code that's implemented for the bot, then the bot becomes unresponsive, or as I like to call it, it becomes rogue. It doesn't listen to what you put into your Discord bot library. So you need to first regenerate the token. What this does is it shuts the bot offline. So the bot goes offline. And secondly, you need to have a better way of stopping the bot by some mechanism. This is a basic enough tutorial, so I won't exactly cover that, but in the notes, I'll add something towards handling this sort of stuff. Okay, another issue is that you don't store tokens like this for good reasons. One is that if you're going to put this on GitHub, someone could take a token and do something malicious with it. So they could power up their own token and cause a lot of havoc. Okay, how do I get the bot token? Just a reminder, so you can go back to your applications, click on your app, and then you go to a bot and you press regenerate. Regenerate will create a new one. And I can press reveal here, but I typically just copy it. So that prepares us the token. Okay, I'll just put that back in. Okay, so with that in mind, we need to add something so that one, we can safely shut down our bot, and two, well, let's just get to the safe proofing bit first. Okay. So first off, okay, so I'm going to add client.events async dev on message. So this is another type of event. It's like someone said before, it's an implementation of the abstract method. And then you want to do if the content of the message. So what Discord does is that it'll pass through the message for you whenever it gets hit with the message. And you just want to say, I want to say, if the message's content is stop running, then what I do is I do await client.close. Okay, now the slides here say something different, but that's because when you get to more advanced spots, you'll be putting all this stuff into cogs and making sure everything's neatly arranged. For now, we're just throwing everything into one place. Okay, so that just says, well, if you were to see the word stop running, then you would halt. Okay, let's run it again. Okay, so give it a second. And now I'll bring my Discord tab here. It's logged in. If I click right, stop running. Oh no, I added this up. Whoops. Let's do the oversight. Okay, in the case that you do mess up like this is why you regenerate the token, and that will come and cause your bot to come to a halt. I copy this token back in and get my screen back up. Okay, let's run this again like this. And then run it again. Okay, now let's try stop running. There we go, it stopped it. And we're good to go. Okay, so now, whenever you want to start the fresh with the bot regen, yeah, that's one good way of doing it. If you just want to stop it, just refresh the token. Only thing is you have to just copy and paste it. Now, let's try experimenting with the onMessage command. So this is just an event. So I want to say hello to a user if it says hello to me. One thing I can do is say, if the content of my message starts with hello, I can send them So await, I've got to do asynchronously because otherwise everything else will get bottlenecked by this. And what I do is I actually do message and then message.channel.send, and I say hello there. Okay, it looks fine. And let's run it. Okay, we're logged in again. And let's just say hello.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is quite a problem we've got here. This is why you really need safe proofing. In any system that you build where there's a level of interaction between your app and another app, you always got to have a safe fail safes. So I got to do stop running, otherwise we'll do this forever. And it halts. So first thing is we've learned that we really need the safe proofing here. The self.close is really crucial. I'd recommend having that code wherever, but just have that somewhere, really. Okay. So that's a pretty much basic enough introduction to the stuff you can do. Now, there's a lot more events than there is what I've shown here, and you should feel free to look into Discord Pi documentation. Discord Pi documentation. And if I come here to the API reference, API reference is here. So this is something that's also pretty important to know is where to find API references. And you can see the events. So if I click here on event, there's a lot of different functions here. So make sure you have a look at this stuff in your own time if you want to continue building your bot. So for now, let's just move on. Okay. This next bit here is more or less modularity. If I have lots of functions that do different things, and I don't want them cramped in this one file here, because this is already getting pretty cluttered. Say you have like 20 commands per module, like you have a module that does music playing stuff, or you have a module that does image finding. You don't want them all in one file. So this is why you create a cog. Now, the way I do it, and it's a pretty good way of doing it, is to create a folder called cogs. And I'll move that into here. So move that into the presentation. And the code I have here is a pretty good template code for any cog you create because it's always going to be the same thing. You just have a setup function and you have the name of your cog. So your cog is more or less a package of all the modules for a certain type of things you have. Okay. Let's open up a file. Let's call this basic.py. I don't really have a name for it. And what I want to do is first off, I want to import this stuff again. Okay, and then I want to do def setup bot. So this takes in your bot and it adds the cog to it. So it just has a method of adding our cog in. And now the stuff you specify here is basically your cog name. So I say basic and it takes in your bot. Now my class, so this here is going to be my cog. It's going to be basic as well. So because I called it basic here, it's good to just keep up your naming convention and you need to keep it the same. And well, I've already imported. I'll change this import here so that it's just import.discord.ext.commands. So we can do it like this. Okay. And the init stuff, so basically you're just binding the bot instance to your cog. That's pretty self-explanatory. It just makes sure the cog you've inserted into it is connected to your bot. There we go. Okay, so what can we do with our cogs? First off, if you want to do anything with the cog, you need context. Now, that sounds pretty weird out of context, But what I mean here is that Discord will automatically pass an argument to your function, your commands function, and this is called the context. So the context is pretty much metadata on what channel you're in, and who sent the message, or like what arguments were passed. So it's pretty much beneficial to you, and it's kind of mandatory that you do it, otherwise your arguments will get messed up. So first off, I added my decorator, command.commands, commands.command. And then I added a sync def, once again, function. And I say self. So the self is just referring to the instance and CTX. So CTX is my context. Okay, so, well, okay, I want to do something specific. We're not going to get to the API stuff yet. Let's just do something basic. So let's just do an 8-ball. So what I can do is I can specify the name of the function is called 8-ball. And I'll call this the Oracle function. Oracle. And in addition, I wanted to take in a question. Now the question is going to be a string. Okay, so what I want to do is I want a function that takes in a question and returns a random response. Simple enough. For this, you'd probably want to import random as well. Okay, so maybe I can have a set of generated results. So like outputs is defined as yes, no, maybe, and so on. So whatever it is, I'm going to just be passing in a question, and I want it to return some sort of answer. Now, the answer is going to be something of the form await ctx.send, and it's going to be a random.choice. So random.choice is basically just going to take a random element from your list in this case. So intermediate steps, I just want to say outputs, and that's it. We are okay. Context.send, and let's just try to see if this works. Before that, we're kind of missing something. These two files both exist, but they don't really seem to be connected to each other. Something I have to do before I actually connect it is actually load in the cog into my bot. And this is going to involve doing the following. So come to my client, and clients, actually, I'll do it like this. So I'll have a folder of cogs. So that's my folder of cogs. And I'll add in all their names. So cogs.basic is our only cog. Now I'm just going to say for each cog in cog, let's load in our cogs. And so this is going to be clients.load extension. Should be fine. And that should load it in. So it will load in from this folder, and let's give it a whirl. I have to keep doing this. Okay. So extensions cogs.basic raised an error. Name commands is not defined. Now commands. Better do this. I need to change this to from discord.txt import commands. That's what I meant earlier, just messed it up. And let's try running it again. Okay, seems to be loading in. And let's try it. Okay. So I want to just do equal hello. Now we see that we have a problem. It's not responding to anything we've done, and there's no output to the console. This is a weird quirk. I wouldn't say it's a weird quirk, but it's more or less something that gets a lot of beginners, and it's more or less just because of these two events here conflicting with these two things here. So if I regenerate my, I'll regenerate this, copy a new token in, and that'll just close the loop for you automatically regardless. If I remove these events, so what I'll do here is I'll comment them out. Okay, and I bring this in. So just come back here and I'll run my bot. Okay, let's try it now. We've got a working command. Let's try it again. I wonder if it's going to result to no every time. Oh, okay. Look at that. Just got unlucky. So 2 times in a row, no. But we've got a basic functioning command. So why this thing and this thing here? So our cog and our these things are pretty much coded into the bot are conflicting with each other. It's more or less just because of it loading one and then loading the other and getting confused. So really, there is a way to handle this. So you want to put this into a cog of its own. It's going to take a bit of work though. So I'm not going to be addressing that too much unless we have time. So we'll just be rolling with this as is. Okay. Now let's try something more complicated. We're going to try interacting with an API. So APIs are application programming interfaces. They're things you can send requests to online and get resources in return, or send requests and modify the stuff on the server. Depends on what you want to do. I'm going to start with Pokemon. So what I want to do is I want to create an embed. So maybe you haven't seen this before, but Discord has this thing called the embed where you can create little, I'm not sure what they're exactly, how you describe them, but they're little cards with information on them. So I want to create a card with Pokemon information on it. Okay, now, this is the cool thing about cogs. I'm going to create a new cog, and I'm going to call it Pokemon.py. Now, okay, here's the magic here. So you can copy all this stuff over because it's just the same boilerplate. One thing you should change is this to be your cog name. So it should be a good cog name that's representative. And we've got the same stuff. Okay, so I'll just go over to the website. This is a really nice website, by the way. It gives you a lot of information on how to request the website. So typically, APIs are a good start for customized projects, and I recommend looking into something that interests you and then building either a bot or web app out of it. It's a cool thing to work with. The first thing they have is this interactive API sender. So if I submit a request, it will give me information about the Pokemon. Ditto. If I send the number of the Pokemon, so let's go with Chikorita. Chikorita is 152. If I want Chikorita, I send in 152, or I can send its name. And what I want to do is I want to take all this information. So I want to first send my request to the server, get that from the bot, send it to the server, get the information from the server, and turn it into a nice embed and turn it back, send it back to Discord. Okay, let's get to this. Commands. Command. I'll call it Pokemon, just because we're getting the name of the Pokemon. async dev, once again, grab Pokemon. And I want the context as well, and I want the Pokemon name. Now, just a side note, the Pokemon name has to be lowercase, so I'll just account that in a bit. And what I'll do here is I want to create my API URL. So in this case, I've used the format string, but really you could just do it like this. So copy it like this. That's probably more convenient. Okay, so copied it, and then add the name of the Pokemon dot lower. So just lowercase it. So in case the person sends it in uppercase, it just automatically translates it to a lowercase word for us. Now, what can I do with this? How do I get to the server in the first place? Some people here may be familiar with requests. That's a library you can use to send web requests. I'm going to use something different. So this is called AIO-HTTP, and it's designed for asynchronous programming. So I do import AI HTTP. No, it's not AI HTTP. That's not. Yep, okay. It's not recognizing it once again for some reason. I think my VS code just screwed right now. Okay, so the way I do this is I want to just say, okay, let's create a new session, async with AIO HTTP.client session. So this will create a new session for sending requests, and I'll call it session. So what this sentence says, just create a new session and call it session, pretty much. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a get request. So once again, I add in async because it's important. And I do with session.get. So a get is when you retrieve resources from the server. There's also something called a put or various other things. We're just going to be working with get. And I want to get my Pokemon string because that's now a URL, hopefully, as response. So I get my API request and I store it as response. Now, I'm just gonna, how should I do this? Okay, let's just print our request. So let's call this request is equal to response. No, got to do await response.json. So it'll complain if you don't do await. And let's just print it for now. Right. Okay. So let's try putting a token into our bot. Generate and copy. Okay, let's run it. Keep forgetting this. And run it. So Python. Oh, before that, we've got to add in our bot name. So cog.pokemon. There we go. And let's run our bot. Now what? What? Remove this now. Okay, I don't know why this is happening on all days. Okay, so for some reason it's just messing up just this time. So we'll copy the command we made and we'll put into our basic cog. So this cog's definitely working, so we're fine with that. And I have to copy regenerate and copy a new token. And let's run it again. There we go. Have no clue what was doing the previous time. Okay, so let's just try our 8-ball command again. It's still working. Now let's try the Pokemon command. So let's try Snivy. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. Python, for some reason, this is not. Why is this happening?
I think in the chat someone suggested that before when you had the cog.pokemon, the cogs.pokemon, try that maybe.
Hang on. Cogs. Right. Oh yeah. Pick up. Pokemon. Why is this one failing as well? What? And Python. Let's see, Python 3. Oh no, don't want to do that. Python pod.type. Oh yeah. Now I need to just remove this from here and rerun the spot. Okay, there we go. It's back and running. Now let's try getting a Pokemon. There we go. It's finally working now. So we have a ton of information that we want to process. There's a lot of stuff here. And honestly, I recommend not doing this with this Python or anything related to a programming language. If you want to get API requests quickly, then I recommend something called recbin. So this is recbin. And how you use it is that you get your URL and you submit, say, your Pokemon. So in this case, let's do, let's send that to our server. What it does is that, give it a second, it will automatically submit the request for us and it will give us a nice detailed JSON of what the response from the server is. I want to just get the sprite of the Pokemon and its name, and then put it into embed. So what I do here is first, I just look around and I see there's a sprite bit here. And if I go down to other, there's something called the official artwork. So that will get us a PNG of the official art. So that's really cool. So what I do is I say sprite is equal to, okay, so I want to traverse this. I start from not the object. I want to start from the sprites. So rec sprites. And then I want to do other. And official artwork is what I want. And I want it to be front defaults. Okay, so with this, I'm going to start trying to create an embed. So this is why we imported Discord earlier. So that's why this thing's still around. So I call my embed real creative. And I want to do discord.embed. Okay, so I give it a title. So title is equal to the name of the Pokemon. Let's call it capitalized. We'll just put in the Pokemon as is. And then I want to add in a thumbnail. So the thumbnail is going to be the sprite of my Pokemon. So what I do here is I do embed. That should be capitalized. I don't know why it's doing that. embed.set thumbnail. And I set the URL to be the sprite I got before. Okay. And I can add in other stuff, so I can add in the abilities, but let's just see that it's working. So I want to do an await ctx.send. So these embeds are really just in messages. They're just as an embedded thing. You typically see embeds in the form of media links where it has a summary of what's going on. You can send a blank message, so like the message doesn't have to be anything. You can just specify that the embed is the embed we got before. And let's remove the request because we've already got this here. And let's kill our bot. In fact, while we're at it, on the fly, let's do something interesting. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a command that will stop running for me regardless. So I want to do a command name, let's call it stop. Async def stop. Self ctx, you don't need anything else. Now you just do an await self dot close. That should work. Let's try it out. Main command is not defined. Got a S here. Let's try it again. Got a regenerate token. And let's put in a new one. Okay, seems functional. Let's try out April first. No, okay, cool. And then let's try Pokemon. Let's try Turtle. There we go. Look at that. You have your own embed, which takes stuff. So just to give you a recap of what's going on, you send something to Discord. Discord sends it to your bot sends it to your code. The code sends it to a server. The server sends back all this information. Your code turns it into something nice, and it sends it back to Discord. You've got quite a complicated pipeline here, and it's produced quite a pretty result. Now, let's also try seeing if our stop command works. So let's try stop. Got to do self.bot.close. In any case, we've made quite a bit of progress here. So I'll just do self.bot.close. That should work, hopefully. And let's put our own token in. And let's run it again. Give it a whiz. And let's just try stopping it. There we go. It's working now. Okay. So that's also one way you can get your bot to stop if you don't want to keep on regenerating a token. But we can also do more with our Pokemon API, or in general, more stuff with more APIs. So I have a list of APIs here. Some crude, some interesting, some do various things. So starting from the top, this one is a list of quotes by Donald Trump. You can retrieve a random quote meme. So what this does is it gets you an image, and I won't go into this, but it's pretty cool that you can send images and get that, or you can get a random quote. So how you use this is you implement it the same way we did with the Pokemon one. You have to do copy this, and then I come to my ref bin. Okay, so that's my endpoint. This is called an endpoint, something you can hit for a request. And I want to hit this website. And I want to try sending it. We see we get this interesting quote here. So that's one thing you can implement here. So you could create, oh, I've not seen this before. Anyway, call that quotes.py. And I can copy the same logic over. And we'll call this quotes. And honestly, the same thing applies as last time. So all the logic we've made here pretty much carries over. You could literally copy this and make sure you, well, when you're copy pasting something, you make sure you're careful with what you do. And I'll change this to be quotes. And I have to make sure to change the function name as well. And I'll do grab code. I want to change this to be my endpoints. It doesn't need any inputs. And I don't really need to do the sprite stuff. I can just do the request, and I can see that the value is stored at the top. So I can do rec.value, rec of value, sorry. And let's try giving that a spin. Okay. And let's pop up Discord again. Let's try, what's it called again? Oh, hang on, we forgot to import it more importantly. So cogs.quotes. So I've got to remember to do that. Let's just stop this. And now let's try importing it. And let's try quote. There we go. Now, I'm not going to say much else, but pretty much there's a lot of possibilities for what you can do with these APIs. So one of the cooler things that I've worked on in the past is Judge Zero. So if you're on like various programming servers, you may have seen that there are bots that will evaluate code inline for you. So you can say something like run, and then you can specify your code here, def, something like that, and it will evaluate the code for you. This is what Judge Zero does. So you can send it source code in various languages and it will evaluate them. Another cool thing is the API data. So there's a lot of information here. Typically, APIs require keys. Sometimes they're paid, sometimes they're not. In this case, you need to just sign up for API key in the case of the weather API. But other times, there's often a lot of free information. So one cool example is XKCD. If you were to go to their about page and you scroll down, you find that you can get the comics through this interface here. So you can query this. So if I was to copy this, and let's go to RecBin again. So RecBin is your best friend for interacting with APIs. It is incredibly convenient. Let's do the 1,000 XKCD comment. Send it, and we get our link. We get our image link as well. So you could create a small XKCD or comic bot panel, cog, sorry. And let's call it xkcd.py. And once again, you could transfer all this logic because it's so similar, but in this sense, you're modifying it so that your data is going to be different. So I'm going to have to change this to be xkcd. And this is going to be xkcd now. And this is going to be xkcd. And what I want to do is I actually want to specify a command. So I want to specify the comic number. So let's just set this to be number. And that's an integer. Now, I want to change this once again to this. And I'll wrap it around. But what I want to modify is this number here. So in this case, I'm just going to use a format string. So what I'm going to do here is instead of 1,000, I'm just going to wrap it around with braces. And I'm going to say, I want the 1,000 num xkcd comic. With this, I get its request and I look to the page here. I see that the image option is there, so I can get that key. So I can do image. Yeah, there we go. This won't. I don't exactly know if it will embed it. So let's try that as well. So let's stop it once again. Let's try requesting from the xkcd server and add this cog in. So cogs xkcd looks fine, and let's try running it. Okay, so let's try xkcd 500. Voila, we have a mini xkcd bot. I'm not actually sure if there are other servers, well, comics online that provide this. So xkcd is just one of those famous, not famous, but well-known places that provide this sort of thing. Honestly, a lot of it's just looking around and seeing, can I do this? Or is there something that lets me get the data for you? And most of the time, you can find such information. And often it's just implementing it with Discord. So I've created quite a range of modules and you can extend on this. So there are many ways to extend on this. And I recommend extending stuff here. Like you could build a complete Pokemon API. So you could build a complete API that gets Pokemon moves as well. So if I was to go to the API page here. Oh no, seems like everything's trying to go wrong today. That's funny. Anyway, so ignoring that issue aside, you can also get Pokemon moves. So if I wanted to get information about a Pokemon move, like say transform, I'd be able to query it. So once again, it's the same logic as last time, and it's incredibly simple. Just go to the rect bin first. Let's just try transform. So that's a move that changes the Pokemon into other Pokemon. And we get the accuracy. Cool. We can specify that as well. Interesting. Along with the entry in the series. So you can say it says it copies all the stats and stuff except for HP. And you get stuff like damage as well. You could all put this into a module as well and have it neatly send it to your user. So that's pretty much the basics of Discord bot creation. A lot of it is more or less finding something you like and then seeing if there's an API for it, can I query it and send it to a user? Often you will be able to do that because APIs are often fast, sometimes they're slow, but there are lots of Discord bots online and these things are really easy to build in my opinion. So definitely worth adding to your portfolio since just going onto my page, I have 2 Discord bots on a page here. So one's called Discode Compiler and the other one's not there. This one is Judge Zero Evaluator. So it just takes in code and evaluates it. So they're good and simple projects that can be expanded upon easily. All right, so that was quite intense. I didn't know why my VS Code's not working for some reason, but we managed to get through in the end. I have no clue why this is happening. Cool. So, does anyone have any questions about what I've done today or anything they'd like clarified? All right, there's questions here. Yeah, okay, I'll open up xkcd again. That should be visible to you guys, I think. Yeah, cool. Let's see, what else? I'd say this is a pretty good introductory project because like I've pretty much written the entire bot like this already. I guess the functionality comes from just extending your own stuff to it and making it unique enough to be something you can like put on a portfolio. It's really easy to start with, and it gives you a good sense of how to arrange code. So with what I've done here, cog management is really nice. It's a really nice way of managing code because even Discord bots can get pretty messy in terms of like management, I'd say. Another thing is, just get back to the tabs here. We have a hackathon, hack sprint, which is going on for 2 weeks. So from the 5th of July to the 16th of July. If you're interested in working with a team and implementing a solution, so this is really great stuff, be sure to sign up. Another thing that I forgot to mention, but it's really crucial that I mention it, is don't give a bot administrator privileges. Oh, yes, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel later on. So after this is over, I'll put the video on the Mac channel. So yeah. So on the security note, do not give a bot administrator privileges. There's a few reasons for this. If you're not the one creating the bot and running it, you don't know what's being run. So there could be anything run on the bot, and it could be taking data, it could raid a server, and it can do lots of destructive stuff, even unintentionally. So bots can have buggy behavior that causes it to do unintended things. So like delete channels repeatedly when it's only been asked to delete the channel once. So make sure you're conservative with what permissions you grant your bot. That is on both sides. So if you choose to grant your bot permissions, so the reason why I didn't set it to anything is because it doesn't really need anything other than sending messages. If you give it administrator, just keep in mind that it can do some destructive stuff. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're inviting a bot to a server, make sure you keep its permissions as locked down as possible. Yeah. Okay. So that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for coming to the workshop. It was fun presenting something like this, even though there was some weird issues going on. If you're interested in more Discord stuff in the future, I'm always available on Discord in the Mac server, so you can just feel free to contact me if you want, if you're interested in building a bot or something related to Python in general, I guess.